You may have noticed that both in what I've said so far and in the reading selection I assigned, I'm focusing on receiving feedback. I'm doing that first of all because that's the place where this topic gets us viscerally. Starting here has two other advantages as well. Since we can't make other people give us feedback well, focusing on how we receive feedback, even badly delivered poor feedback for which we are not in the mood, makes it more helpful than it might otherwise be. Second, we can improve our feedback giving by noticing what's not helpful on the receiving end and avoiding it on the giving end. Becoming better receivers of feedback will attune us to almost everything we need to know to give feedback well. So you've read the Stone and Heen reading. I'm going to review it briefly now, and as you listen to what I'm saying, I invite you to sort your jottings from the first exercise into the three categories I'm providing. Can you accurately identify your feedback reactions? You might also want to download the handout I've posted below this video. It reproduces, with some edits, the chart on page 25 in Stone and Heen, and adds some additional information I've culled from elsewhere in the book. Stone and Heen suggest, and I agree with them, that our key task is to identify our feedback reactions and then, having identified them, choose another way. As I talk, I'll be using some feedback I received recently as an example of what I'm talking about. Feedback that set off all my feedback reactions. It was the result of one person's comment in a course evaluation. The first category of feedback reactions is truth reactions. Truth reactions are set off by the substance of the feedback itself. It's off or wrong or unhelpful or inaccurate. When we're having these kinds of reactions, we respond with indignation, exasperation, and the sense of being wronged. What do you mean the materials in class weren't sufficient to help students meet the course goals? This is what I thought when I read that feedback. The second category of feedback reactions is relationship reactions. Relationship reactions are set off by the person who's giving us the feedback. Our reactions may have to do with what we believe about the giver or how we feel treated by the giver, or both. When we're having this kind of reaction, we are shifting our attention from the content of the feedback to the person who's delivering it and our relationship with them. Who are you, poor student, to be telling me I'm a bad teacher? The third category of feedback reactions is identity reactions. Identity reactions really have little to do with either the content of the feedback or the person delivering it. Instead, they are all about us. Identity reactions put us in survival mode because we think or feel that our very selves are in danger. Oh no, what if I really am a bad teacher? If I set up those original questions the way I intended, your responses to question 1, what kind of feedback am I afraid to hear, might have alerted you to truth reactions with a little smidge of identity reactions. Your responses to question 2, whose feedback do I most fear, should have alerted you to relationship reactions. And your responses to question 3, what happens to me when I give and receive feedback, should have alerted you to identity reactions. Is there anything wrong with these reactions? No. Feedback can be genuinely off base or given by someone who has proven themselves untrustworthy or intended to harm or wound, or some combination of any of these. The problem is not that our reactions are unreasonable. The problem is that our reactions are reactions. What we're looking for instead is increasing our capacity to choose rather than react. Receiving feedback skillfully, choosing rather than reacting, is one important way we practice loving our neighbors as ourselves and loving ourselves as our neighbors. It's also a surefire way to grow in maturity and self-awareness, which are crucial for leaders, so that we can both lead well and minimally do no harm. Receiving feedback is also an important way to open ourselves to the transforming power of God's own Holy Spirit within and around us. Do your reflection assignment for this section. If you're a fast writer, English is your first language, and you have practice with emotional intelligence skills, this may not take as long as if you write slowly, are not as a native speaker of English, or find all this emotional intelligence talk confusing or new. Regardless, what I'm inviting you to is not a beautifully written or technically correct brief essay, but rather a reflective piece that demonstrates your self-awareness and your capacity to learn even in challenging situations. Submit your assignment in the correct forum in Moodle.